about Sargeant So. I want to ask you about Sargeant So. I want to ask you what he meant to you. And I also wanted to ask you, did you ever know him after the war, after Vietnam, or what happened to him? Please just take as long as you need here, Dominic. Single screen, Val. Talk about Sargeant So.
Yeah, Sergeant So was a Vietnamese regular. He was in the Vietnamese army, and I was with the Civil Affairs Psychological Operations Unit with the 1st Air Cavalry Division, and we were up north by the DMZ at a place called Camp Evans, and we worked out of LZ Nancy as well, which is a smaller base camp, like a landing zone for a helicopter, and a bigger base camp, which was Camp Evans. But this was a camp that had 3 rounds of barbed wire around it, and we had bunkers set up within 50 yards of each other, and we had guard duty every night, and we lived in tents and huts, and the headquarters company was in a bunker, a command bunker that was half dug into the ground, and sandbags with metal PCP and more sandbags on the top to protect what was going on inside, where the brass was, the colonels, majors, colonels, and above, including General Forsyth, who showed up there on a regular, consistent basis, who was in charge of the G5 section, which was a big deal, Civil Affairs Psychological Operations. So Nguyen Dang So Na was his name. Sergeant So was, he was a Vietnamese regular whose family was from Saigon, and he worked with our unit as an interpreter, because one of the things that we did in civil affairs and psychological operations was, if we captured North Vietnamese Army or Viet Cong, and we found that some of these captured soldiers were willing to be I don't want to use the word trained, but were willing to be psychologically adapted to democracy. They were willing to understand what American democracy was. There'd be a small class for them. And if they seemed to be that way and were helpful and ready to defect, literally, even though they were captured, or they might have walked in too. Some of them quit. Then Sergeant So would help us to get information from these, because he spoke Vietnamese and he was an intelligent guy. He was a good soldier. He was fun, and we were in his land, and it felt, when he was around us, it felt like we were a guest of his nation. It's what he did, and he was a character. He knew battle. He grew up in war. He remembered the French in Saigon and in Vietnam. He remembered his father being a soldier, and he grew up in literally in war-torn Vietnam since 1950s, and now it's 69, and his homeland is in war. It's been in war. It's been occupied by the French, somehow the Chinese, and somehow the Americans, right? And the Americans were occupied 500,000 soldiers there. And so he assisted us in our making of reparations. So one of the things we did in PSYOPs was, if a village was inadvertently destroyed, we'd go out to that village with Sergeant So, and we'd make reparations. We'd find a village leader, and we would pay them for the repair of what was damaged. And we tried to listen to what the matter was. And war is fought where people live. It's part of the hardship. We would take a veterinarian, military man, out with us, who would try to show them how to better treat their water buffalo, give their pigs inoculations if he found that the pigs had disease or so. I thought that was redundant because the Vietnamese people have been taking care of their water buffalo for 1,000 years. So, but we'd come in with this. It was an American goodness, but it was not always received well. I was part of that crew. He also helped us to write pamphlets and leaflets, which we dropped over battle sites. And he helped us to produce the right language for those who had received this, received these little placards that we'd literally scatter. I dropped them. We'd take cartons of it in a helicopter, and over the battle site, I just dropped them over the enemy. And he was that kind of partner for us, and I befriended him, and he befriended me. I tried to speak Vietnamese, and he enjoyed that. So he would try to teach me Vietnamese, and I would, teach him about a subject and a predicate in English. And we had a lot of laughs together. We drank beer together, and if we went to town or were in a town, he would act as a kind of chaperone. He showed us around and introduced us in places where we would otherwise not be introduced, and especially me, because I was trying to learn the language, and he enjoyed that as I enjoyed him. And after I returned, when you leave your unit, you leave them all behind. And after I returned, it was a long time, and I got a letter from him, and the letter was right before the end of the war in 1975, and he was trying to get out. And so I took the letter, and I was a student an undergraduate student working 2 jobs, trying to make it work. And I was just married then too. So things started to settle after that for me, because I had purpose, and I had a design on my life, which was not, my head was not so scrambled because I had purpose and direction. And so I read the letter, and he was asking me, I don't know how he found my address, but because I didn't live in the same place that I did while I was, when I came home to in Vietnam. I had a different address in New York City. But I took the letter, tried to get it into the Vietnamese embassy, and the message I got there was that there's hundreds of thousands of people trying to get out, and we don't know how you can sponsor that. And right now, it hurts to talk about this because I didn't have the same power or enjoy the same wisdom that I do now. I would have insisted then and found a way, but I was not yet savvy about the way things worked. I was 27, 28 years old. Just had a bachelor's degree, and I was studying to get a master's degree at the City University of New York, and that's before I took a law degree subsequent to that. But I feel guilty that I didn't put enough effort into getting him home, and I never heard from him again.
You don't know if he's alive?
I don't.
Well, he'd be like in his 80s, 70s, 80s now.
Yeah,
right?
no, 80s. He was older than we were. He was maybe 30. We were 19. So he'd be older than that. Yeah, but a wonderful person. He introduced me to. I was interested in Vietnam, and that's why he clamped on to me, because I was trying to get it right.
Right.
I asked him about his family, and I asked him about his grandparents.
Right.
And I wanted to know why this fish sauce was so popular there, because it tasted so terrible. And we would giggle and have a beer and laugh about stuff like that. And he, they were smaller than us. All the Vietnamese people were smaller than us. Sure. And he was like a 100 push-up guy. Like he'd do like 100 pushes, a piece of wire that weighed about 120 pounds. Right?
Oh, yeah.
And no, he's our guy. He was our guy. He was on the choppers with us. He was a class act. He was educated. Sure. His family was educated. So, the
In the
Rangers.
book, it really seemed in the book that like there was a deep spiritual, soulful connection you had with him
100%.
from the beginning. I have a
100%.
question. And again, anything like this, we're going back to 1968, 69 here. You were 19.